Hi ladies and gentlemen, Joe Bonamassa here with the Telecaster du jour video of the day. A lot of sounds in a Tele, especially an old one. Now you don't need an old one to achieve any of this stuff. You just need an old wiring setup. This happens to be a January of 1954, one of the last of the Blackguards, and I bought this from Norm Harris at Norm's Rare Guitars, and one of the strangest guitar deals I've ever done. Anyway, that's a subsequent story that we could deal with at another time. Needless to say, he walked back and forth and talked to me, and talked to the granddaughter of the original owner, talked to me, talked to the granddaughter of the original owner. He made $9,000 in 3 trips around his store. No, and that's all I will disclose. He's a true master. Anyway, January 54 Tele, still got the old wiring. Now you could do this. You could wire it up, put the capacitor in. So everybody says, well, there's 3 sounds in a vintage Telecaster. So you have the dead tone, which is basically the front pickup with a capacitor. Good for your jazz gig. Front pickup in the middle, conversely to where modern Teles are wired. Front pickup is in the middle, and it's front pickup only. Get your Steve Cropper on. And then full-on lead pickup. Now, you may be asking, Joe, why are you just speaking the obvious? I said, well, because in a vintage wiring setup like this, there are actually 4 sounds. You can get the 2 blended together. So this is a Switchcraft 3-way position. It is no different than the Switchcraft 3-way position switch that they use on Stratocasters. It's just angled horizontally, not kind of perpendicular. So you can wedge it. So you have 4 sounds out of a vintage Tele. And there are your 4 sounds out of a vintage Tele. Fun fact of the day. Now you may be saying to yourself, Joseph Leonard Bonamassa, the first and only, why do you leave the cover on? Well, the ashtray. Well, I do and I don't. And I did a deep dive because when I was about 11 or 12 years old, it was 88, I believe it was 88, I got to sit in with the great Albert Collins, and I was an Albert Collins fanatic. I still am. And he always had this on his Tele. He'd play the gig with the ashtray. Now it's easy to take off. Boom. Notice the little solder drop. I don't know why they put that on there, but that little solder drop makes this thing really effing expensive, especially for one of these. Well, if you leave it on and you sting a note like Albert would do, you know. Well, he was an open F, so he had a different tuning with capo, but I'm just doing a crappy imitation now just for a demonstration. So I did the deep dive. So I would do that. And then I put the thing back on, and I was using a 59 Tele, which was kind of like we used on the Capitol records, like backstroke, you know. So 2 things. What it does is your natural propensity would be to, if you have the cover off and your finger picking, is rest your hand here. So what you're doing is you're kind of naturally muting the guitar, unless you're playing flamenco style, which is highly unlikely. If you put the cover on, you hear how live that is? If you tap on it, well, you're putting your hand on it, and you're kind of picking more towards the neck pickup and more towards the neck. And it does, and now I don't know if the microphone's picking up, but there's a subtle difference in the sound. And it also kind of affects the way you play. Plus, you're not able to mute any of the strings. So you're getting this kind of sympathetic resonance of the guitar while you're playing. And you can do it with a pick too. So. So anyway, there's a lot of tricks, and you can tell it's old. This is the best way to authenticate an old guitar. Doesn't fucking work. Anyway, another cool trick about Tele is you can use the volume, obviously. You know, most famously, probably Jeff Beck, Roy Buchanan, Danny Gatton. And they're really the most expressive instruments. You know, Leo got it right the very first time. There's something magical about a flat pole Tele pickup. They'll sting you. They can be as sweet as you want it to be. And the other thing is, it really is a I mean, like, you could do anything with a Telecaster. It really is one of the most versatile things. But it's also daunting because there's not a lot of options. There's 4 sounds in it. It's just a plank of wood, you know. Les Paul that we demonstrated before, it's more, it's a carved, it's this, there's like multiple woods. This is just maple and ash and a very simple circuit. And, you know, if you can make a gig work with one of these or an Esquire, God, that's even harder. Then you can make anything work. And it's really, they're one of the best tools you could ever buy, and you don't have to spend a lot of money. You could get one of these. You can get a Squire Tele, put a flat pole reissue in it, and you can rule the world with it. It really is absolutely the go-to guitar for a lot of guitar players. I mean, there's a video of Jeff Beck saying it's a Telecaster. It's like you can do anything with it, and he was right. And here's one of mine.